Nothing Phone 2A. Unexpectedly, the release adventure of inexpensive Nothing phone has justified. Cheaper than expected, more beautiful and faster than the first-gen Nothing Phone 1. It's indeed suddenly. I thought it would be something useless, but it turned out to be one of the best mid-budget smartphones. Well, the phone itself. The box is very stylish. They definitely know how to do it. Everything here is like welcome to Nothing, you know, everything feels friendly. Everything is kinda they turned out to face you a little bit, with nice little messages written. Overall, I like it. And the 2A, guys, it really looks just incredible. It feels unreal in the hand. This is a great example of how you can make a phone out of plastic beautifully, no questions at all. And there's also nothing else in the box at all, just a Type-C to Type-C cable. By the way, look at how it's made. Even here, they made it extraordinary. Oh yeah, the SIM ejector tool. It also looks quite unique and interesting. It looks like a transistor or something like that. So long story short, the first impression is, holy smokes, it is so bananas good. But hang on, Houston, we have a problem. MediaTek is on board. I personally have nothing against MTK, it's all you guys who doesn't like it for some reason, and we'll get to that in a bit, but objectively, it is not of the highest category. Now let's talk about mid-budget phones. How many of them are good? Very few. The most recent ones that come to my mind are the Pixel 6a and 7a. Excellent smartphone with nice prices. If you're looking for something powerful, Chinese and also inexpensive, there is something like iQOO 12. You'll get Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. It is the cheapest smartphone on this chip, but it's slightly more expensive than this Nothing. Here you have to choose between comfort and performance. So all in all, Nothing breaks in with its offering. And at the same time, there's a Galaxy A35 and A55 in this world, when there are Pixels and Nothings. But it depends on your taste and what you want. Here for $350 we get a signature design, good hardware, and eventually a 120Hz display with AMOLED. And on top of that, without a chin. And by the way, if we talk about Apple with their iPhone 15, $800, 60Hz display, well, that's off topic, we're not gonna go there. Overall, it's an interesting stuff, and it potentially looks like it's so damn hip, actually. So let's move now to the design itself, huh? Design. Nothing continues to explore the idea of transparent body, and the centered camera design is not only aesthetically pleasing, but also great for proper photography. You can hold the phone in any position without covering the lens with your finger. The glyphs are still here, but there are 3 of them now. The backside is divided into 2 parts. The bottom has an engraving resembling a ribbon cable or some kind of cooling pipe, and the top features an NFC ring surrounded by those light strips and 2 cameras. There's a red square that doesn't serve a purpose, but overall it looks pretty good. The plastic body looks like a glass, and the plastic frames feels metal. And keep in mind, of course, it's not gonna be easily broken, but it might be scratched up very quickly, like the Nothing Air Stick, which is also made of transparent plastic, so that's why it would be better to carry a phone with a case. The black accents on top of a power and volume buttons look so nice. By the way, it's only on a white body. Additionally, the edges are kinda a little bit rounded now, so the 2A feels better in the hand than the Nothing Phone 2. These are very timely changes and improvements. The camera design is a separate story. It looks that much unusual, so the company decided to illustrate these cameras right on the box. However, how can you get rid of the feeling here that the top part looks like eyes and the bottom part like an intestinal tract? Well, I haven't figured that out yet. Nevertheless, these internals can survive light rain. It is rated IP54, though the company posted a video showing the phone submerged for 20 minutes without any issues. There's a suspicion it might have IP67 certification, but they don't want to pay for that and just kinda hint at it. I'm not sure either, but it's definitely interesting. And also look at that, there's a black finish, looks strict, and to me, not particularly interesting. They could have added white accents on the power and volume buttons, but they didn't. So let's move to the front side. The front side is beautiful, with thin, symmetrical bezels and a small hole for the front camera in the center. The display itself is great, featuring an AMOLED panel with 120Hz refresh rate, HDR10 Plus support, 100% DCI-P3 color gamut coverage, 2160Hz PWM dimming, a base brightness of 700 nits, up to 1100 nits in local, and 1300 nits in HDR mode. Not the best specs, but quite good actually, especially if you consider the price. It is an excellent display overall, kinda on the same level with the first generation. Additionally, the panel is covered with the Gorilla Glass 5, and underneath there is an optical fingerprint scanner. It's not the fastest, but very accurate. The display itself comes covered with the screen protector out of the box. That can be replaced with a glass protector if you'd like to. No questions about the exterior, display, everything is nice. The sound is also good, stereo. There's a speaker at the bottom, and also conversational speaker is used as a second speaker. Decent vibration, but it's not the best one, not comparable, let's say, to the new Xiaomi 14, but still good. However, the hardware. There are some questions about the hardware. This is the most controversial part. Inside there is a MediaTek Dimensity 7200 Pro. Yeah, now MediaTek is inside nothing. The chip itself is pretty mid-range, but the company promised an 18% performance increase compared to the Phone 1 and 16% improvement in energy efficiency. Overall, the company hints that in almost every aspect, the Nothing Phone 2a is better than the Phone 1. I disagree with this, at least in terms of materials. Glass and metal compared to the just plastic, it is of course really incomparable, but the system performance, how smooth it is in the 2a, is indeed much better than the Phone 1. However, there's a suspicion that company might be deliberately slowing down the first version with updates. So you have to choose the old version or new Android features. Regarding the system performance overall, there are no complaints. Lags occur occasionally, but the overall impression is pleasing. NothingOs itself looks amazing, with the dotted font throughout the system. Even the back button has been redesigned, along with brightness and volume control, and widgets in the same style. You can also apply a glass effect to the wallpaper, which is to me very cool. Overall, it is properly polished Android, and it is fast, although you might still encounter some power limitations. It is playing games and cameras, which we'll talk about that in a bit. Quickly about the Glyphs, only 3 of them remain now. They can be used as a camera flash, can be synced with messages or calls, and also you might set as a timer. Unfortunately, they removed the glyph that showed the battery level. We're gonna miss it. Additionally, you can sync with music to play, which is a useful feature, in inverted commas of course. But probably the most useful feature is the notifications that cannot be turned off until you unlock the phone. So if you set a glyph for a specific email, it'll stay lit until you unlock the phone. That's really cool. And by the way, this feature works on older models as well. Moreover, the company integrated the support for third-party apps. There are just very few of them. It's an Uber, it's Zomato, and it's a Google Calendar. That's it. As I predicted, developers don't seem interested in creating something more for these glyphs. They just don't want to do it. There's an Android 14 under the hood of NothingOs. The system will be getting updates for 3 years. And the manufacturer promised the security patch for 4 years. Not exactly wow, but it's kind of okay for this price segment. The battery is spacious at 5000 mAh, larger than other Nothing devices. Despite the large battery, the phone is very lightweight. It lasts well, providing 6-7 hours of screen time, which is not an impressive number, but quite enough for one-day use. Additionally, there's a 45 watts fast charging, which charges from 0 to 100% in just 1 hour. Very good for a mid-range phone. However, it's very disappointing that there is no wireless charging. That's a little bit upset. Now the cameras. On paper, it's quite decent. There are 2 sensors on the back, both 50 megapixels, a main and ultra-wide. The main sensor is the Samsung GN9 with an aperture of 1.88 and optical stabilization. The ultra-wide is the GN1. The phone takes good photos, though details can be lacking. Overall, there are no major deficiencies with the cameras, including the ultra-wide. Of course, both cameras produce average shots in low light, though sometimes the results are better than expected. Here's a nice example. just okay. The phone also supports the new Ultra HDR photo standard. It can record video up to 4K 30 FPS, but the problem here because of the processor. If we take HDR photos, each shot takes quite a while to process. But if we take a series of shots, the phone starts heavily lagging. The front camera is a Japanese guy, 32 megapixel Sony IMX615. Here are some examples, which you might find quite average. So the conclusions. Everything is quite obvious here. The Nothing Phone 2a is definitely better than the, let's say, Chinese smartphones in terms of speed and system features. However, of course the hardware is kinda weak. If we compare this to the, let's say, the Pixel 7a or even 8a, it's not fair to compare them, as the Pixel is for those who prioritize the camera first of all. If you care about the gaming performance, you gotta go with something different, more powerful hardware. But if gaming is not important to you, you play rarely, and you haven't got specific needs on cameras or wireless charging, then this is definitely one of the best mid-range smartphones, if not the best. More, it's a great idea to upgrade from the first generation Nothing Phone 1, so I highly recommend it. That's the story.